Welcome back to Kindness in Real Life. Lila Bennett, soaked and late, dives into the wrong Uber, only to spark a love that defies the odds with millionaire Nathan Carter. It's rain, heart, and a twist of fate you won't see coming. Lila's on the balcony, city lights below, when Nathan leans in close, his voice low. You're the first person in forever who doesn't see the suit first. You see me. Her heart skips, and he offers his hand, saying, "Come with me. Somewhere real." Where's he taking her? How does soggy ride turn into this? We're so grateful for you being here, and I'd be over the moon if you'd give us just one like from you. Rain hammered the pavement, a relentless curtain of gray soaking through Lila Bennett's sneakers as she stood under the flickering streetlight. She yanked her hood tighter, her navy coat doing little to keep the chill out, and glanced at her phone. 8:42 p.m. The Uber was late, and if she didn't make it to Sophie's engagement party soon, her sister would never let it go. Water dripped from her dark hair, streaking her face, and she muttered a curse under her breath, scanning the street. Headlights cut through the haze, a sleek black car gliding to the curb, and she didn't hesitate. Door open, bag flung on her lap. She slid into the back seat with a sigh. "Finally," she whispered, brushing wet strand from her eyes. The car pulled away smooth as silk, tires hissing on the wet asphalt, and Lila fumbled with the seatbelt, her fingers cold and clumsy. Only then did she notice the leather seat beside her wasn't empty. A man sat there, calm as you please, his black suit sharp against the dim interior, sleeves rolled up to reveal a silver watch that gleamed like it cost more than her rent. His jaw was carved, his blue eyes striking under dark brows, and a smirk played on his lips as he glanced her way. Lila's heart jolted, her bag slipping slightly. "You're not my driver," she blurted, voice sharp with panic. He leaned back, amusement flickering in his gaze. "No, I'm not, and I'm guessing you're not my assistant." His voice was smooth, low, like he was used to being heard. Lila's stomach knotted, her damp coat sticking to her skin. "Wait, this isn't my ride." He checked his phone, that smirk growing. "Not unless you're Sophia, which I doubt." She groaned, burying her face in her hands, rain still dripping from her sleeves. "Oh no, I picked the wrong car." The driver cleared his throat up front, a polite interruption. "Should I stop here, miss?" Lila peeked through her fingers, the city blurring past, neon signs bleeding into the night, horns honking faint through the rain. She could bail, stand back in that downpour, wait who knows how long for another ride. But then the man beside her spoke, his tone easy, confident. "Where you headed?" She hesitated, uncertainty flickering. "Rosewood Hotel," she said, watching him. His lips twitched, almost a smile. "Funny, that's my stop too." Lila squinted, leaning forward a bit, her bag hugged tight. "Hold on, are you messing with me?" He chuckled, a soft sound that cut through the hum of the engine. "Not at all. Seems fate's got us on the same road." She sighed, turning to the window. Rain streaked the glass, street lights smearing into golden ribbons. She could demand a stop, slog through the mess to find her real Uber. But the storm outside looked brutal, and Sophie's voice was already ringing in her head. "Late again, Lila?" "Fine," she muttered, folding her arms. "But don't get any ideas." He laughed again, fingers raking through his dark hair, damp from the weather. "Darling, you're the one who jumped in my car." Her stomach fluttered at the word, "darling," but she shoved it down, fixing her gaze ahead, determined to keep this ride as boring as possible. The city rolled by, a chaos of wet concrete and glowing signs, and she tried to focus on the party. Sophie's big night, the Harrington's fancy world, her own navy dress waiting to feel out of place. But the guy beside her wasn't making it easy. He shifted, his watch catching the light, and spoke again, voice casual but probing. "You don't strike me as a Rosewood regular." She shot him a sidelong glance, brow raised. "And what's that supposed to mean?" He smirked, leaning back. "Overdressed, overdone, over everyone. You're different." Her eyes narrowed. Was he mocking her? "Are you trying to insult me?" He shook his head, still grinning. "Not even close. Just saying you stand out, in a good way." Lila huffed, crossing her arms tighter, rain tapping a steady beat on the roof. "I'm not here to entertain you." I'm going to my sister's engagement party. His brows lifted, curiosity sparking. And you don't sound thrilled about it. She paused, her fingers fidgeting with her bag strap, the truth slipping out before she could stop it. It's complicated. Family stuff. She glanced at him, expecting a quip, but his gaze held steady, a flicker of something deeper behind the amusement. Their loss, he said, low and earnest, catching her off guard. Lila blinked, the words landing heavier than they should have. But before she could reply, the car slowed, the Rosewood Hotel's grand entrance looming ahead. Marble steps, golden lights, valets darting under umbrellas. The driver stopped, and a valet swung her door open, rain now a soft drizzle. The man, still nameless, stepped out first, his suit untouched by the chaos, and Lila scrambled after him, clutching her bag. "Wait," she called, boots splashing on the wet stone. "But didn't tell me your name." He turned, offering a slow, knowing smile. "Nathan," he said, then vanished into the hotel's glow without another word. Lila stood there, rain misting her face, a strange pull tugging at her chest. Nathan. Something about him, sharp, magnetic, stuck, even as she shook it off and headed inside. The ballroom hit her like a wave, golden chandeliers dripping light, marble floors echoing under her heels, a string quartet weaving through the hum of voices. Guests glittered in couture, champagne flutes clinking, the air thick with roses and wealth. Lila smoothed her navy dress, simple, pretty, but no match for the dazzle, and felt that familiar pang of not belonging. Sophie rushed over, stunning in pale pink, her diamond bracelet flashing as she linked arms with Lila. "You're late," she hissed, guiding her deeper into the crowd. "Got held up," Lila mumbled, dodging the Uber mess for now. Sophie sighed, her blonde curls perfect. "Just behave, okay? You know how the Harringtons are." Lila tensed, nodding with a tight smile. "I'll be a saint." They wove through the throng, snippets of talk about stocks, villas, power plays, and Lila braced herself for a long night. Then, across the room, she saw him. Nathan. He leaned against the bar, suit sharp, posture easy, chatting with an older man who oozed importance. Silver hair, crisp tucks, a Harrington vibe. His blue eyes flicked up, locking with hers, and that smirk returned, slow and deliberate. Her pulse kicked up, heat creeping up her neck. What was he doing here? Sophie tugged her forward. "Lila, this is Mr. Harrington," she said, voice pitched high. The older man offered a hand, polite but cool. "The younger Bennett's sister, I presume?" Lila shook it, firm. "That's me. Hope Sophie said good things." He chuckled, a sound that didn't reach his eyes. "Oh, plenty." Before she could dig into that, Nathan's voice cut in, smooth as the ride they'd shared. "Looks like you've met Lila already." He stepped closer, glass in hand, and Mr. Harrington's tone warmed instantly. "Nathan, didn't expect you tonight." Lila's brain scrambled. Nathan knew him? Sophie whispered, urgent. "You know Nathan Carter?" Lila froze. "Carter?" Sophie's look screamed disbelief. "Nathan Carter, CEO of Carter Enterprises." "How do you not know?" Her stomach dropped. The watch, the suit, the confidence, it clicked. She'd hopped into a millionaire's car, clueless, and now he was here, smirking like he'd planned it. "We shared a ride," she muttered, and Nathan grinned, sipping his champagne. "Quite the entrance, too." Mr. Harrington raised a brow, amused, as Sophie's fiancé, Liam, joined in, clapping Nathan on the shoulder. "Didn't know you were crashing, man." Nathan shrugged, eyes on Lila, full of surprises. She took a breath, lifting her chin, trying to keep her cool. "Never a dull moment," she said, matching his grin, but inside, her mind raced. Nathan Carter, CEO, power player, and the guy she'd sassed in a backseat. The night had just tilted, and something told her this was only the start. The ballroom buzzed like a hive, golden lights spilling from chandeliers onto marble floors, the air thick with champagne fizz and murmured wealth. Lila Bennett stood near Sophie, her navy dress catching the glow, her damp hair tucked behind her ears from the rain-soaked ride. She clutched a flute of bubbly Sophie had thrust in her hand, the glass cool against her fingers, but her eyes kept drifting across the room. Nathan Carter leaned against the bar, his black suit sharp as a blade, chatting with Mr. Harrington and Liam like he owned the night. His sleeves were still rolled up, that silver watch glinting as he gestured, and every so often, his blue eyes flicked her way, a smirk tugging at his lips. Sophie nudged her, voice low and urgent. "Lila, stop staring. Do you have any idea who he is?" Lila sipped her champagne, the bubble sharp on her tongue, and shrugged, playing it cool. "Nathan Carter, big shot CEO. I got the memo." Sophie's perfectly styled curls bounced as she shook her head, exasperated. "He's not just a big shot. He runs Carter Enterprises. Millions, Lila. And you shared a car with him?" Lila's stomach did a little flip, but she forced a grin. "Yeah, well, he survived my soggy coat. Think he'll live." Before Sophie could scold her more, Liam waved them over, his grin wide under tousled blonde hair. "Lila, come say hi." She followed, heels clicking, the crowd parting like she was stepping into a spotlight she didn't want. Nathan turned as she approached, his smirk softening into something warmer, and Mr. Harrington clapped him on the shoulder. "Nathan was just telling us about your dramatic entrance," the older man said, his silver hair catching the light, amusement in his tone. Lila lifted her chin, meeting Nathan's gaze. "Rain's a great equalizer. Makes everyone late sometimes." Nathan chuckled, a low sound that rippled through the chatter. "Not everyone climbs into the wrong car, though. Takes guts." She shot back, quick as a reflex or bad luck. "You pick." His eyes sparkled, like he was enjoying the dance, and Liam laughed, raising his glass. "Sounds like a story worth toasting." They clinked, the crystal ringing sharp, but Lila felt the heat creeping up her neck. Nathan wasn't just some rich guy. He was in deep with the Harringtons, Sophie's soon-to-be in-laws, and here she was, the odd one out, trading barbs with him. The quartet struck up a new tune, strings weaving through the hum, and Sophie pulled Liam off to mingle, leaving Lila with Nathan and a room full of eyes she didn't trust. She sipped her drink, the fizz steadying her, and glanced at him. "So, what's a CEO doing crashing an engagement party? Don't you have empires to run?" He leaned against the bar, casual but sharp, his watch catching the chandelier's glow. "Had a last-minute meeting with Harrington. Thought I'd stick around. Good thing, too." His gaze held hers, steady and warm, and her pulse kicked up. "Oh yeah? Why's that?" He tilted his head, smirking again. "Would have missed the best part of the night. You, dripping wet, calling me out in my own car." Lila laughed despite herself, the sound slipping out easy, and brushed her hair back. "You're welcome for the entertainment. Next time, I'll charge." He grinned, sipping his drink, and the air between them thickened, the ballroom's noise fading to a dull roar. She should have walked away. Sophie's warning about behaving echoed in her head, but Nathan had a pull, like a current she couldn't swim against. "So," he said, setting his glass down, voice dropping low, "why the long face at a party like this?" Lila's fingers tightened on her flute, the question cutting closer than she liked. She glanced at the crowd, diamonds flashing, laughter too loud, and shrugged. "Not my scene. Too much glitter, not enough real." His brows lifted, curiosity flickering. "And what's real to you?" She hesitated, then met his eyes, steady. "People who don't fake it." "This," she waved at the room, "feels like a show I didn't audition for." Nathan nodded, slow, like he got it, and leaned closer, his cologne, a mix of wood and spice, drifting her way. "Funny, I feel the same most days. All this." He gestured at the chandeliers, the suits. "It's just noise. You're the first real thing I've seen tonight." Her breath caught, his words landing soft but heavy, and she looked away, the city skyline twinkling through the windows. "Careful," she said, half teasing. "That sounds like a line." He chuckled, shaking his head. "No lines, just the truth. You're not like them, Lila." Her name on his lips hit different, warm, deliberate, and she swallowed, trying to keep her footing. "You don't even know me," she said, but her voice wobbled, and his smirk softened into something real. "I know you're not afraid to call it like you see it. That's a start." She glanced at him, his blue eyes locked on hers, and felt that flutter again, stronger now. The ballroom spun on, servers gliding, glasses clinking, but they were in a bubble, the noise just a hum beyond the bar. Sophie's voice cut through, sharp and bright. "Lila, come meet someone." She waved from across the room, her pink dress glowing, and Lila sighed, draining her champagne. "Duty calls," she muttered, setting the glass down. Nathan watched her, his fingers tapping the bar. "Don't disappear," he said, low and firm, and she smirked, stepping back. "No promises." She turned, weaving through the crowd, his gaze a warm weight on her back, and her heart thudded louder than the quartet. The night stretched on, Sophie dragging her from one introduction to the next. Harrington cousins, business moguls, faces that blurred into a parade of polite nods. Lila smiled, made small talk, but her mind kept drifting to Nathan, his laugh, his easy confidence, the way he'd seen through her armor in 5 minutes flat. She caught glimpses of him, leaning into a conversation, glass in hand, always that smirk when their eyes met across the room. It was maddening, how he stuck like a song she couldn't shake. Later, she slipped away, needing air, and found herself on the balcony, the night crisp against her skin. The city sprawled below, lights twinkling, traffic a distant hum, and she leaned on the railing, the cool metal grounding her. Footsteps sounded behind her, soft but sure, and she didn't need to turn to know. "You ran," Nathan said, his voice teasing, and she glanced over, catching him in the doorway, jacket open, hands in his pockets. "Didn't run," she shot back, arms crossed. "Just needed a breather." He stepped closer, the scent of his cologne wrapping around her, and leaned on the railing beside her, his watch glinting under the stars. "Too much glitter?" he asked, echoing her earlier words. She nodded, a small smile tugging at her lips. "Way too much." He looked out at the skyline, his jaw sharp in the moonlight, and for a moment, they just stood there, the silence easy, alive. "You're not what I expected tonight," he said, quieter now, and she turned, meeting his gaze. "What did you expect?" He tilted his head, blue eyes searching hers. "Someone chasing the spotlight." "Not you, someone real, cutting through it." Her chest tightened, his words sinking in, and she looked away, the city blurring. "You're not so bad yourself. For a suit," she said, keeping it light, but her voice softened at the end. He grinned, stepping closer, the space between them shrinking. "Good to know I'm not just a ride." She laughed, soft and quick, and the tension snapped, warm and electric. The balcony felt smaller, the night bigger, and Lila knew she should go. Sophie, the party, the rules. But Nathan's presence held her, steady and sure. "You're trouble," she murmured, half to herself, and his smirk returned, full force. "Maybe, but you're still here." She didn't argue, just leaned on the railing beside him, the city humming below, and let the moment stretch, dangerous, thrilling, hers. Back inside, the party roared on, but out here it was just them, two strangers from a rainy ride, caught in something neither could name. The stars winked above, the breeze tugging at her dress, and Lila felt it. A shift, a spark, the start of a story she hadn't seen coming. The balcony air was cool, a sharp bite against Lila Bennett's skin as she leaned on the railing, the city sprawling below like a sea of stars. Her navy dress fluttered in the breeze, the fabric still faintly damp from the rain earlier, and she tucked a strand of dark hair behind her ear, the noise of the ballroom a muffled hum behind her. Nathan Carter stood beside her, close enough that she caught the woodsy hint of his cologne, his black suit jacket open, sleeves rolled up like he'd never left that car. The silver watch on his wrist glinted under the moonlight, and his blue eyes flicked to her, steady and warm, cutting through the night's chill. "You're quiet," he said, his voice low, teasing the edge of the silence. Lila glanced at him, a small smile tugging at her lips. "Just soaking it in." "This," she waved at the skyline, "beats the glitter in there any day." He nodded, leaning on the railing too, his fingers brushing the metal near hers. "Can't argue that. All that shine gets old fast." She tilted her head, studying him. "Says the guy who looks like he owns half of it." He chuckled, a soft rumble, and shook his head. Looks can lie. I'm just good at playing the part. The honesty in his tone caught her off guard, peeling back the smirk she'd pinned him with. She turned to face him fully, the city lights painting gold streaks across his face. So what's the real Nathan Carter like, then? Not the suit, not the watch, just you. He paused, his gaze drifting out to the horizon, then back to her, softer now. Someone who's tired of the game. I built Carter Enterprises from scratch. Meetings, deals, handshakes, but it's all noise. Out here, with you, it's quiet. Real. Her chest tightened, his words sinking in like stones, and she looked away, the skyline blurring. Careful. You're getting deep on me. He grinned, leaning closer, his shoulder brushing hers. Too late for shallow, Lila. You started this when you hopped in my car. She laughed, quick and bright, the sound bouncing off the balcony's edge. Blame the rain. I wasn't exactly thinking straight. His eyes sparkled, holding hers. Good thing. Straight's overrated. The air crackled, warm despite the breeze, and she felt that pull again, stronger now like a thread she couldn't cut. Footsteps clacked behind them, sharp and deliberate, shattering the bubble. Lila turned, her stomach dropping as Mr. Harrington stepped out, his silver hair gleaming under the balcony lights, tucks crisp as ever. Nathan, he said, voice smooth but firm, a word. His eyes flicked to Lila, a polite nod, but she caught the dismissal in it. Nathan straightened, his easy posture stiffening just a touch. Sure, give me a sec. He glanced at Lila, a flicker of apology in his gaze. Don't go far, he murmured, then followed Harrington to the far corner, their voices dropping low, all business. Lila exhaled, leaning back on the railing, the metal cold through her dress. She couldn't hear them, something about investments, numbers, but Nathan's stance shifted, sharper, like the CEO mask sliding back on. She watched for a moment, then turned to the city, letting the breeze cool her cheeks. He'd been real with her, raw, even, but now he was back in that world, the one she didn't fit into. Sophie's warning rang in her head. Behave, Lila. The Harringtons. She wasn't built for this, golden lights, power plays, people who measured you by your label. But Nathan saw her, didn't he? Or was that just the night talking? The murmur stopped, and Nathan returned, his jacket still open, hands in his pockets. Sorry about that, he said, voice softer again. Duty calls. She smirked, crossing her arms. Big shot stuff, huh? He shrugged, stepping closer, the space between them shrinking. Just noise. I'd rather be here. Her pulse kicked up, his warmth cutting through the chill, and she tilted her head, teasing. Flattering, but I'm not buying it. You're too smooth for your own good. He laughed, a real one this time, and leaned in, his breath brushing her ear. Maybe, but you're keeping up just fine. Her skin tingled, heat creeping up her neck, and she pulled back, grinning despite herself. Barely. Your trouble, Nathan Carter. His eyes locked on hers, blue and unfiltered. And you're the best kind of chaos, Lila Bennett. The words hung there, heavy and bright, and she felt the ground shift. Dangerous, thrilling, hers to step into or away from. Before she could fire back, Sophie's voice sliced through, high and insistent. Lila, there you are. She burst onto the balcony, pink dress glowing, her blonde curls bouncing as she grabbed Lila's arm. You've been hiding. I need you inside. Liam's parents want to meet you. Lila groaned under her breath, shooting Nathan a look. Saved by the bell, she muttered, and he smirked, stepping back. Go be the saint. I'll find you later. Sophie tugged her away, oblivious, and Lila threw him a last glance, his grin, his steady gaze, before the ballroom swallowed her again. The rest of the night blurred. Introductions, small talk, Sophie beaming beside Liam, the Harringtons nodding coolly as Lila smiled through gritted teeth. Her navy dress felt tighter, the champagne flat, and every laugh around her sounded rehearsed. She played the part, Sophie's sister, the polite outsider, but her mind kept drifting to the balcony, to Nathan's voice cutting through the noise. He'd seen her, raw and real, and it stuck like a splinter she couldn't pull out. Near midnight, the crowd thinned, guests trickling out, and Lila slipped away again, back to the balcony. The air was colder now, the city quieter, lights winking below. She leaned on the railing, her breath fogging faintly, and heard that familiar step behind her. "Thought you'd run off," Nathan said, his tone light, and she turned, catching him in the doorway, jacket slung over his arm. "Not yet," she replied, smirking. He stepped up beside her, close again, his cologne wrapping around her. "Couldn't leave without saying goodbye. You survived the gauntlet." She nodded, brushing her hair back. "Barely. Sophie's in her element. I'm just the extra." He tilted his head, his gaze steady. "You're more than that. They don't see it, but I do." Her chest tightened, his words hitting soft but sure, and she looked out at the skyline, steadying herself. "You're good at this, saying the right thing." He grinned, leaning on the railing, his watch glinting. "Only when it's true. You're not like them, Lila, and that's not a flaw." She met his eyes, the blue cutting through the dark, and felt that thread pull tight. "And you're not like I thought," a suit with a smirk. "You're more." His smile softened, real and unguarded. "Good to know I'm not just the ride." She laughed, the sound echoing off the balcony, and the tension eased, warm and alive. They stood there, the city humming below, the party a distant echo. "What now?" she asked, half teasing, half curious. Nathan's gaze held hers, steady and bright. "I've got an idea. Come with me." She blinked, caught off guard. "What?" He stepped closer, voice low. "One stop, somewhere real. No glitter, just us." Her heart thudded, every sensible part of her screaming to say no. Sophie, the night, the rules. But his pull was stronger, magnetic. "You're crazy," she murmured, but a smile broke through. "Maybe," he said, offering his hand. "You in?" She hesitated, the breeze tugging at her dress, then slid her hand into his grip warm and firm. "Fine, but if this is a trick, I'm out." He grinned, tugging her toward the stairs. "No tricks, just a detour." They slipped out, past the valets, into his car waiting in the drizzle, the engine purring as the city blurred past. Lila leaned back, her navy dress creasing, and glanced at him, his smirk, his steady hands on the wheel, and felt it, a spark, a leap, the night tilting into something new. The ballroom faded behind them, its glitter lost to the rain, and Lila let herself fall, into the ride, into Nathan, into whatever came next. The city streaked past in a blur of wet lights, the car's engine a low hum beneath the patter of drizzle on the roof. Lila Bennett sat in the passenger seat, her navy dress creased against the leather, her hands fidgeting with the strap of her bag. Nathan Carter drove, one hand on the wheel, the other resting easy, his black suit jacket tossed in the back. His sleeves were still rolled up, the silver watch catching faint glints from passing streetlights, and a smirk played on his lips as he glanced her way. "Relax," he said, voice warm through the quiet. "I'm not kidnapping you." Lila shot him a look, her dark hair falling loose from its tuck. "Says the guy who just lured me out of party. Where are we even going?" He grinned, eyes on the road. "Somewhere better than chandeliers and small talk. Trust me." She huffed a laugh, leaning back, the city's glow smearing gold across the windows. Trust him? She barely knew him. A CEO with a fancy watch and a knack for showing up where she least expected. But here she was, ditching Sophie's big night, chasing a hunch with a stranger who didn't feel strange at all. The car slowed, pulling up to a building that loomed sleek and modern, glass walls stretching high, reflecting the skyline like a mirror. Nathan parked, cutting the engine, and stepped out, circling to open her door before she could protest. "Welcome to my world," he said, offering a hand. She took it, his grip warm and steady, and climbed out, the drizzle misting her face. "Your office?" she asked, brow raised as they crossed the threshold. The lobby was dim, soft lights pooling on polished floors, and an elevator dinged open, whisking them up in a hush of steel and glass. They stepped out onto a floor that stole her breath. Huge windows framing the city, lights twinkling like a spilled galaxy, the view raw and endless. A desk sat in the corner, sleek and bare, but the space felt more like a perch than a workplace. Open, quiet, alive. Lila wandered to the glass, her sneakers silent on the floor, and pressed a hand to the cool surface. "This is unreal," she whispered, her reflection faint against the sprawl below. Nathan leaned against the desk, watching her, his jacket still off, shirt sleeves crinkled. "Better than the rosewood?" She turned, smirking. "No contest. Less glitter, more this." She waved at the view, the city pulsing beyond the panes. He nodded, stepping closer, his cologne drifting in, woodsy sharp grounding. "Thought you'd like it. No noise, just what's real." Her chest tightened, echoing his words from the balcony, and she tilted her head, studying him. "You keep saying that, real. Why does it matter so much?" He paused, his blue eyes locking on hers, steady and deep. "Because I'm surrounded by fake every day, smiles, deals, promises. You're not that. You're you." Her breath hitched, his gaze peeling her open, and she looked away, the skyline a safer focus. "You don't know me well enough to say that." He stepped closer, the space shrinking, his voice low. "I know you didn't play the game tonight, didn't bow to the Harringtons, didn't care about the shine. That's more than most show in a lifetime." She swallowed, his warmth brushing her side, and turned, meeting his eyes. "And you? What's a guy like you hiding up here?" He grinned, but it softened, a crack in the smirk. "Not hiding, just breathing. This is where I think, where I cut through the mess. Been a while since I brought anyone, though." Her brows lifted, a tease slipping out. "Oh, so I'm special?" He laughed, soft and real, and leaned in, his shoulder nudging hers. "Yeah, Lila, you are." The words landed gentle but firm, and her pulse raced, the air thick with something she couldn't name. They stood there, the city humming below, the drizzle tapping faint against the glass. She glanced at his watch, the silver catching light, and smirked. Fancy dig for a guy who claims he's tired of the game. He followed her gaze, then slid the watch off, tossing it onto the desk with a clink. "Better," she laughed, shaking her head. "Getting there." He grinned, stepping closer, his shirt brushing her arm. "Good. I'm not here to impress you with that stuff." Her smirk faded, his tone shifting, raw, unguarded. "Then why am I here, Nathan?" He held her gaze, blue eyes flickering with something deep, primal. "Because you're the first person in forever who doesn't see the suit first. You see me." Her chest squeezed, his words slicing through her walls, and she took a shaky breath, the city fading to a blur. "You're making this hard," she murmured, half teasing, half true. "Good," he said, voice dropping, "means it's real." He reached out, brushing a strand of hair from her face, his fingers lingering, warm against her cheek. Her skin tingled, her heart thudding loud enough to drown the rain, and she didn't pull away. "You're trouble," she whispered, echoing the balcony, but her voice softened, giving in. "Maybe," he said, his thumb tracing her jaw, slow and sure. "But you're still here." She met his eyes, the blue burning bright, and felt the thread snap. Reason rules the party, all gone. She leaned in, tentative, and he closed the gap, his lips meeting hers in a kiss that stole her breath. It was soft at first, testing, then deep, hungry, like a dam breaking. His hand slid to her waist, pulling her close, her navy dress bunching under his grip. She tangled her fingers in his hair, the strands damp and wild, and pressed into him, the glass cool at her back. The city lights flickered beyond, but all she felt was him. His warmth, his pulse, the taste of champagne and rain on his lips. He kissed her like he meant it, like she was the only thing that mattered, and she let go, falling into the rush. When they broke apart, breaths ragged, foreheads pressed together, the world spun back, slow, hazy, real. "Didn't plan that," he murmured, voice rough, a grin tugging at his lips. Lila laughed, shaky and bright, her hands still on his shoulders. "Liar. You've been planning that since the car." He chuckled, pulling her closer, his arms steady around her. "Maybe. Worth it, though." She nodded, her cheek against his chest, the city humming through the glass. "Yeah, worth it." They stood there, tangled in the quiet, the drizzle a soft drum outside. Lila's heart settled, warm and full, and she glanced up, his blue eyes soft now, unguarded. "What now?" she asked, voice low, a smile playing on her lips. He brushed her hair back, his touch gentle. "Whatever you want. No rush, no noise, just us." She smirked, stepping back but keeping his hand. "Dangerous offer, Carter." His grin returned, sharp and warm. "I'm full of em. Stick around, you'll see." The office glowed soft around them, the skyline a silent witness, and Lila felt it. A shift, a leap, something real taking root. She'd jumped into the wrong car, crashed a night she didn't fit, and found him. Nathan, not the CEO, just the man kissing her like she was his world. "Okay," she said, squeezing his hand. "Let's see where this goes." He nodded, pulling her back to the glass, the city stretching endless below, and they stood there, side by side, the rain fading to a whisper. Back at the Rosewood, the party dwindled, Sophie's voice probably sharp with worry, but Lila didn't care. Here, in this perch above the chaos, she'd found something, someone who saw her, raw and true. The night stretched ahead, uncertain but alive, and as Nathan's arm brushed hers, she knew she wasn't turning back. The glass reflected them, two figures against the glow, and Lila let herself fall deeper into whatever this was. The city had softened into spring, the air sweet with blooming trees and a breeze that tugged at Lila Bennett's navy dress as she locked up Haven's Edge, her little cafe on the edge of downtown. The sign above the door glowed soft, white letters on wood, and inside, mismatched tables sat empty, the day's last coffee lingering in the air. She'd built it with Nathan's help. That wild $50,000 check he'd slipped her months ago, turning a dream into brick and mortar. Her sneakers scuffed the sidewalk as she turned the key, a smile tugging at her lips. It wasn't just a place. It was hers, a spot where anyone could sit, eat, belong. Her phone buzzed, Nathan's name lighting the screen. "Meet me outside town. Got a surprise." She laughed under her breath, texting back, "You and your surprises. On my way." The past months had been a whirlwind. Dinners under city lights, quiet nights in his office perch, his steady presence weaving into her life. He'd traded suits for jackets more often, his silver watch still a constant, but the smirk had softened, replaced by a warmth she couldn't get enough of. She grabbed her bag, the navy fabric creasing, and hopped into her beat-up car, the engine rumbling as she left the skyline behind. The road stretched into hills, green and rolling, the sun dipping low, painting the sky gold and pink. Nathan's car waited by a dirt path, sleek against the wild grass, and he leaned on it, sleeves rolled up, his dark hair tousled by the wind. "Took you long enough," he teased as she parked, stepping out, her dress catching the breeze. "Some of us work for a living," she shot back, smirking, and he grinned, offering his hand. "Come on, it's this way." She took it, his grip warm and familiar, and followed him down the path, curiosity sparking. They stopped by a lake, its surface glassy, reflecting the sunset in streaks of fire. A house sat nearby, stone and wood, windows wide, nestled against the hill like it belonged there. Lila's breath caught, the quiet wrapping around them, broken only by crickets and the rustle of leaves. "What is this place?" she asked, turning to him. Nathan's blue eyes glinted, soft but intense, and he stepped closer, his cologne, woodsy, sharp, mixing with the earth. "My escape," he said, voice low. "Been fixing it up. Wanted you to see it." She wandered to the porch, sneakers tapping on the steps, and peeked through the window. Open space, a fireplace, a life waiting to start. "It's perfect," she murmured, turning back. He watched her, hands in his pockets, the watch glinting as the sun sank lower. "Glad you think so. It's not just a house, Lila. It's where I see tomorrow." Her chest tightened, his words carrying weight, and she tilted her head, smirking to lighten it. Big talk for a city boy. He grinned, stepping up beside her, his shoulder brushing hers. "Only when it's real." The lake rippled, a fish breaking the surface, and they stood there, the world fading to just them. Nathan had been steady, flowers at the cafe, late-night talks, his hand in hers through every doubt. He'd seen her, raw and true, from that rainy ride to now, and she'd let him in, walls crumbling under his quiet push. "Why here?" she asked, voice soft, the sunset warming her face. He turned, his gaze locking on hers, deep and sure. "Because you're my tomorrow, and I want you to be part of this." Her breath hitched, and he reached into his pocket, pulling out a small velvet box. Time slowed, the crickets fading as he opened it. A ring, silver and simple, a tiny twist like a thread etched into it. He stepped closer, his voice rough with feeling. "Lila, you crashed into my life, wet, stubborn, real, and I've been falling ever since. I love you. Marry me." Her eyes stung, tears welling fast, and she laughed, shaky and bright, pressing a hand to her mouth. "Nathan," he grinned, nervous but steady, holding the ring between them. "I know it's quick, but I don't do halfway. You're it for me." Her heart thudded, loud and wild, and she nodded, tears spilling over. "Yes, God, yes." He slid the ring on her finger, the metal cool against her skin, and pulled her into his arms, kissing her deep, fierce, like he'd been waiting forever. She melted into him, hands in his hair, the lake a quiet witness as the sun dipped below the hill. Summer rolled in, warm and golden, and their wedding took place right there, by the lake, grass soft underfoot, a wooden arch draped with wildflowers. Lila walked barefoot, her white dress flowing, the ring glinting beside a bracelet she'd added, a nod to that first night. Nathan waited, jacket open, his watch catching the light, his grin wide as she reached him. "You're stunning," he whispered, and she squeezed his hand, whispering back, "You too." Vows spilled out, love, grit, forever, and they kissed, slow and warm, the crowd cheering soft around them. The reception stretched into dusk, lanterns glowing, music drifting over the water. Lila danced with Nathan, her head on his chest, his arms steady around her. "We made it," she murmured, the lake lapping gentle nearby. He kissed her forehead, voice low. "Yeah, and I'd chase you through 100 rains to do it again." She laughed, the sound mingling with the crickets, and they swayed, the night wrapping them tight. Later, they slipped away, barefoot by the shore, the ring cool on her finger. "Remember that car?" she asked, leaning into him, the water cold against her toes. He nodded, pulling her close. "Best mistake you ever made." She grinned, tracing his watch with her thumb. "Best ride I ever took." The stars blinked above, the house glowing soft behind them, and Lila felt it. Home, solid and hers, built from a wrong turn and a right heart. Guests faded out, the lanterns dimming, and they stood by the lake, hands linked, the night deep and still. "Family," Nathan murmured, his thumb brushing her ring, and she nodded, her cheek against his shoulder. "Yeah, us." The water rippled, the sky stretching endless, and they walked back, together, into the glow of their beginning. Two strangers from a rainy night, now forever, stitched by a chance that stuck. Autumn crept into the hills, leaves turning rust and gold around the lake house, the air crisp with the promise of cooler days. Lila Bennett, now Lila Carter, stood on the porch, her white sweater loose over jeans, a mug of coffee warming her hands. The ring on her finger glinted in the morning light, a quiet reminder of the summer vows she'd traded with Nathan by the water's edge. The house hummed with life now, wood floors scuffed from their footsteps, a kettle whistling on the stove, photos of their wedding pinned to the fridge. She sipped her coffee, the steam curling up, and smiled at the lake rippling soft below. This was home, real and hers, built from a rainy ride and a leap of faith. Nathan stepped out behind her, his jacket unzipped, sleeves rolled up as always, the silver watch catching the sun. His dark hair was still sleep-tousled, and he wrapped an arm around her waist, pulling her close. "Morning," he murmured, his voice rough with sleep, his breath warm against her ear. She leaned into him, grinning. "Morning, trouble. Sleep okay?" He nodded, kissing her temple. "Better with you here." She laughed, soft and easy, the sound blending with the rustle of leaves. Smooth talker. You're stuck with me now. They'd settled into this rhythm. Quiet days by the lake, weekends at Haven's Edge, where Lila still poured coffee and Nathan sometimes lingered, sipping his black brew at the counter. His Carter Enterprises world buzzed on in the city. Meetings, deals, late calls. But he'd carved out this space, this us, and she loved him for it. The lake house was their anchor, a perch above the noise, and every day felt like a gift. Messy, real theirs. But today the sky hung heavy, gray clouds rolling in thick and fast. Nathan glanced up, his brow creasing. Storm's coming. Might get rough. Lila followed his gaze, the lake darkening under the weight of it. Guess we're staying in, then. He smirked, squeezing her side. Twist my arm. They retreated inside, the wind picking up, rattling the windows as rain began to tap the roof, a steady drum that grew louder by the hour. By noon, it was a downpour, sheets of water lashing the glass, thunder rumbling low in the distance. Lila curled on the couch, a blanket over her lap, flipping through a book she couldn't focus on. Nathan paced by the desk, phone in hand, his voice sharp as he talked. Something about a deal gone sideways, numbers not lining up. Fix it, he snapped, then hung up, tossing the phone down with a clatter. He raked a hand through his hair, his watch glinting as he turned to her, frustration etched in his jaw. Sorry, he muttered, sinking beside her. Work's a mess. She set the book aside, shifting to face him, her hand finding his. What's going on? He sighed, leaning back, his fingers lacing with hers. Big contract. Harrington's involved, of course. They're pulling out last minute, and it's screwing everything. She squeezed his hand, her voice soft. Can you save it? He nodded slow. Maybe, but it means a trip to the city tomorrow. Late night, probably. Her stomach dipped, the cozy bubble of their morning popping, but she smirked, keeping it light. So much for my chef tonight. He grinned, faint but real, pulling her closer. I'll make it up to you. Pancakes when I'm back. She laughed, resting her head on his shoulder, the rain a roar outside. Deal. Just don't drown out there. They sat like that, the storm raging, his warmth steady against her, and she felt it. Their life, woven tight, bending but not breaking under the weight. Night fell hard, the power flickering as wind howled through the trees. Lila lit candles, their glow dancing on the walls, and Nathan built a fire, the crackle cutting through the storm's growl. They ate leftovers by the hearth, cold pizza, a bottle of wine, laughing over the chaos of it. Reminds me of that first ride, she said, sipping her glass, the flame painting gold across his face. He smirked, leaning back on his elbows. You mean when you soaked my car and called me out? She nudged him with her foot, grinning. Best mistake I ever made. The lights died with a pop, plunging them in a shadow, and Nathan cursed under his breath, grabbing his phone. Generator's out too. Perfect. Lila laughed, setting her glass down. Guess we're roughing it, city boy. He shot her a look, then pulled her into his lap, his arms wrapping tight. Good thing I've got you to keep me warm. She kissed him, slow and deep, the fire's heat mingling with his, and the storm faded to a hum, their world shrinking to this. Lips, hands, the steady beat of his heart. Morning broke gray but calm. The rain a drizzle now, leaves scattered across the porch. Nathan packed a bag for the city, his jacket zipped, watch gleaming as he kissed her goodbye. Back tomorrow, he said, lingering by the door, his blue eyes soft. Love you. She grinned, tugging his collar. Love you too. Don't let Harrington win. He smirked, stepping into the wet dawn, and she watched his car disappear down the path, the lake still and silver behind her. The days stretched quiet without him. Lila cleaned, baked bread at the cafe, her ring catching flour as she needed. Haven's Edge hummed with regulars, their chatter a comfort, but her mind drifted to Nathan, his voice on that call, the tension in his shoulders. He'd built an empire, sure, but this life, theirs, was what he fought for now. She closed up late, driving back to the lake, the house dark and waiting. He rolled in past midnight, headlights cutting through the fog, and Lila met him at the door, her sweater loose, hair a mess. His jacket was damp, his grin tired but bright. "Deal's safe," he said, dropping his bag, pulling her close. Harrington blinked first. She laughed, kissing him, the rain's chill still on his lips. "My hero. Pancake still on?" He nodded, kicking the door shut, his arms tight around her. "Pancakes, coffee, you?" "Whole package." They cooked in the dim kitchen, candles flickering, batter sizzling on the griddle. Nathan flipped a pancake, smirking as it landed crooked, and Lila nudged him, stealing a bite. "You're rusty," she teased, and he pulled her against him, kissing her neck. "Got other skills." She laughed, the sound bouncing off the walls, and they ate by the fire, plates balanced on their knees, the storm of memory now. Later, they lay tangled on the couch, the blanket draped over them. The lake house quiet save for the fire's crackle. "Thought I'd lose it today," he murmured, his fingers tracing her ring. "But coming back here, to you, kept me grounded." She nestled closer, her cheek on his chest, his watch cool against her arm. "You've got me, storm or shine. Always." He kissed her forehead, voice low. "Always." The lake gleamed outside, silver under a clearing sky, and Lila felt it. Love, steady and fierce, weathering the chaos. They'd started with a wrong ride, a rainy night, and built this, a life, a home, a promise that held. Nathan's breath evened out, his arm heavy around her, and she closed her eyes, the fire fading to embers. The city could roar, the storms could come, but here, with him, she was still, found whole, forever his. Life's full of detours, rainy nights, wrong rides, moments you don't see coming. Lila and Nathan found love in a mistake, proving that the best things don't always follow the plan. It's not about where you start. It's who you hold on to when the storm hits. Be real, take the leap, because a single spark can light up your whole world. They turned a soggy seat into a lake house vow, showing us that love isn't perfect. It's messy, bold, worth it. So, chase what feels true, even if it's a little wild. You might just find your forever in the chaos, like they did, one ride at a time.